My gold digger daughter-in-law and my son humiliated me for years when my wife passed away. For most of my life, I believed family was everything. I believed that if you worked hard, stayed honest, and loved your children, they would stand by you when life got tough. I believed that raising a son meant raising someone who would one day protect his parents the way they protected him. I was wrong. My name is Samuel, I am 63 years old, and the day my wife passed away was the day I finally saw my son and daughter-in-law for who they truly were. But let me start from the beginning. I raised my son Eric with my wife Margaret in a small town. We weren't rich, but we were stable. I worked as a mechanic for nearly 40 years. My wife ran a small tailoring shop from home. We saved every penny. We skipped vacations. We skipped luxuries. Why? Because we had one goal: give Eric a better life. We paid for his college. We helped him buy his first car. We even gave him the down payment for his first apartment when he got married. That's when Linda entered our lives. Linda was beautiful, smart, stylish, always dressed in brand name clothes. The first time she came to our house, she scanned it like she was inspecting a hotel room and finding flaws. "This is cozy," she said, forcing a smile. My wife squeezed my hand under the table. "She'll warm up," Margaret whispered. But she never did. After they married, things changed fast. Eric used to call me every week, then once a month, then only when he needed something. Linda didn't hide her dislike for us. She complained about our furniture, about our food, about our clothes. Once during dinner she laughed and said, "I don't know how you lived like this for so long." I felt something crack inside me, but I stayed quiet. Margaret stayed quiet too. She always stayed quiet. "Peace is better than pride," she used to say. But peace came at a price. When Margaret got sick, that price became unbearable. It started with fatigue, then coughing, then the diagnosis: lung cancer. The word echoed in the doctor's office like a gunshot. My wife held my hand and whispered, "We'll get through this." I believed her. Eric and Linda came to the hospital once, just once. Linda looked annoyed by the smell of disinfectant. "How long will treatment take?" she asked the doctor, not even looking at Margaret. "We'll need several months," he said. Linda sighed. "We're very busy, we have work." That was the last time they visited. Margaret fought bravely. "I sold my old tools, I sold my motorcycle, I even took a small loan to cover her medicines. I cooked for her, I bathed her, I slept on a chair beside her bed." Every night she would whisper, "Promise me you won't beg them." I promised. And then one morning she was gone. Just like that. 37 years of marriage ended in silence. At the funeral, Eric and Linda arrived late. Linda wore sunglasses inside the church. She checked her phone during prayers. After the burial, when people left, Linda finally spoke. "So what are you going to do with the house?" she asked. I stared at her. "My wife was just buried," I said. She shrugged. "Well, life goes on. We were thinking maybe we could move in. You don't need all this space." Eric stood beside her, silent. I felt something inside me turn cold. "You want my house?" I asked. "It makes sense," Linda said. "You're old, you don't work anymore, we have expenses." I looked at my son. "Is this what you think too?" He avoided my eyes. "She's just being practical, Dad." That's when I realized I had lost my son long before I lost my wife. The next few months were hell. They started visiting more often, not to comfort me but to pressure me. They complained about how I lived. "You should sell the car. You should rent out a room. You don't need savings at your age." Linda once said, laughing, "What are you saving for? The grave." That night I sat alone in my bedroom and cried like a child. But something else grew with the tears. Resolve. One afternoon, I overheard Linda on the phone. "Yes, once the old man signs the papers, the house will be ours. We'll sell it and buy a bigger place." I stood frozen in the hallway. Old man. Not father-in-law. Not family. Old man. That night I made a decision. If they wanted money, they would get a lesson instead. I called my lawyer the next day. "I want to rewrite my will," I said. "I transferred the house into a trust, I protected my savings, I set conditions they could never meet." Then I did something else. I pretended to be weak. I pretended to be confused. I told them, I don't know how to manage money anymore. Linda's eyes lit up like Christmas. She offered to help. That was her biggest mistake. Over the next 6 months, I documented everything. Every insult. Every manipulation. Every time they tried to pressure me. I recorded conversations, I kept messages, I saved bank records. Then I invited them to dinner. I have something important to announce, I said. Linda smiled. Eric looked hopeful. They thought it was the house. They thought it was the inheritance. We sat at the table where Margaret used to serve tea. I stood up slowly. I've decided what to do with my estate, I said. Linda grabbed Eric's hand. I'm donating most of it, I continued. To the hospital that treated my wife. Linda's smile disappeared. In the house, I said, looking at my son. I'm leaving it to a shelter for widows and orphans. Silence. Linda slammed her fork down. Are you insane? Eric shouted. That's our future. I looked him straight in the eyes. No, it was your mother's future, and you abandoned her. Linda stood up. You selfish old. Get out, I said calmly. They left screaming. For the first time in years, my house felt peaceful. Weeks passed. Then months. Eric called once. Dad, we're struggling. I answered. You should be practical. Then I hung up. I live alone now. But I am not lonely. Every morning, I visit Margaret's grave. Every month, I donate to the cancer ward. Sometimes I sit in my living room and remember her laughter. And sometimes I remember Linda's face when she realized. Gold cannot buy respect. And cruelty always comes with a price. They thought I was weak because I was grieving. But grief didn't break me. It finally made me see the truth.